Yay!
So, hello, Rebecca. How are you?
Oh, hi, Katie. Well done. We're live. That's the
We
main
are
thing.
live.
Yeah.
So, for any of you who've been waiting a few moments, I was having a slight hyperventilation moment as I went to click go live.
Lip time. Yeah.
And it didn't work. But here we are. We are only 3 minutes late. So, I am very excited today to be joined by the brilliant Rebecca Newenham. Rebecca has been a member of our Facebook community for a long time, haven't you, Rebecca? Since the early days.
Yeah, long time. Yeah, huge support for what you do, Katie.
I think we're both big fangirls of each other, which we love, because I follow Rebecca and love what she does. And I think she really loves what we do. So we've wanted to do this for a while. So I'm really excited to have Rebecca join us today. So Rebecca's the founder of GetAhead. You'll see that behind her. GetAhead, your virtual assistant.
Yep.
And I've been following Rebecca and her business journey for a while. And obviously, I'm always on the lookout for exciting opportunities for people in the group who, you know, we get so many posts all the time from people saying, I want to set up my own business. I want to be a VA. I'm looking for a new career and just looking for different ways of doing things. And so when I spot great opportunities, I always want to bring them into the group. So today, I'm really excited to have Rebecca with us. Rebecca is the founder of, as I said, GetAhead, but also the author of a book called Virtually You. Virtually yours. Virtually yours. Yeah. And GetAhead is a franchise opportunity. And Rebecca's going to talk to us not just about the opportunity, but also about what a franchise is and how it works. Because I think that one of the things we've talked about is that people don't necessarily understand it, might be a bit fearful of what franchise means.
Yep.
So we're going to demystify what franchise means, as well as talk about what the GetAhead opportunity is, and you know why this might be the answer for you if you're looking to set up a business and you want to have a more flexible career and you want to sort of take control. So Rebecca founded GetAhead. I'm just going to give a bit of background in 2010, following her career as in corporate retail. She was a corporate buyer for retail giants like Superdrug and Sainsbury's, so big job. And 7 years later, having successfully grown her virtual agency, she welcomed her first franchisee. And since then, she's added franchisees from Wakefield in the north down to Woking in the south and even in Australia. In fact, Rebecca's just come back from a trip to Australia, which she was just telling me about. So let's kick off, Rebecca, because I'm going to stop gibbering on. Let's kick off with maybe talk to me about just a bit more about your journey and how you move from that sort of corporate retail space into doing this, because I think that's where people really struggle, like in their corporate careers or in.
Yeah, I pick that up a lot from a lot of the posts that I see, especially on your site, Katie. And I think for me, I had the corporate career. I then went on and had 3 girls quite quickly after each other. And it was at that stage where I thought, like, this really is my time now to think about what I want to do next. And I didn't particularly want to go back into retail buying. It was going to be a hassle. I live in Guildford in Surrey. The nearest one might have been Waitrose. It's that whole thing of actually, this is my time. I did a counselling foundation course thinking perhaps I might like to do that. My mum had been a humanistic trained counsellor, she still is. But I thought, actually, no, this isn't what I want to do. But my mum weirdly had set up her own business, and I had witnessed that firsthand with the flexibility. She ran a business from home, and she'd always said to me, I think you know that could be something you'd like to do. So that's where the seed was planted. And then Martin, my husband, and I sort of thought about actually what could that look like? What could that business be? And I have to say, I always like being in charge. So there was that element of actually, I think this is my time to try and see if I've got something here that could work. And I did a lot of research, and virtual assistants, as a number of you will know, are very strong in the States. And I knew right from the beginning I didn't want to do the doing. And this is something Katie and I'll talk about later, but my business is built around finding the clients and then utilising our team of freelancers to deliver the clients' support. So for me, it was like, well, what can I do? And I had a strong branding background, so spent time thinking about the name, didn't want to base it around my sort of complicated surname. I wanted it to be a little bit more generic, something that could scale. And that's certainly what happened. So GetAhead, your virtual assistant, launched and then became your virtual agency 5 or 6 years ago, when I realised that there was a breadth of support we could offer far beyond simply, and I don't mean simply in a negative way, but simply virtual admin, which is why now as a business we offer anything from telephone answering, PA support, right through to marketing, PR and websites. So that's how the sort of the structure came about. But I would be standing, as Katy and I've often talked about, standing in the playground surrounded by wonderful, primarily women who had such a strong background, but were finding that whole flexible work really hard to find. And that's where I suddenly thought, actually, I can provide that opportunity for women to have interesting work that they can do from home. They can do in a co-working space, they can do it to clients, but they can fit it around everything else.
Brilliant. Okay. So you started off on your own, and then you came up with this idea that you could help others to do the same.
Yes.
And you developed the franchise model. Can we just start at the basics of what does a franchise mean?
Yeah.
And why is that different, I suppose, to just setting up your own business?
I want to demystify that, because I think I was certainly viewing franchises as, you hear about that greedy franchise owner that takes the cash from their franchisees and then they're left sort of abandoned. So I did a lot of work in how I could scale GetAhead and worked with a consultant, and actually franchising then became that solution, because I, as the franchise owner, could control how the brand was represented elsewhere. So for me, we've grown a steady business UK-wide with clients all around the country, but I totally got that people buy from people, so they need to see them a number of times to build that rapport, to build the trust, which is where I thought, well, how can I represent me elsewhere? So the franchise model has enabled people to buy into our systems, to have access to our website, everything that's involved in setting up a business they don't have to worry about, except, and I say simply, but simply going out and meeting potential clients and marketing. So there's that whole structure in place, and that's what a franchise gives anyone. It's a tried and tested model. So I'm a member of the British Franchise Association. We've had to go through a huge set criteria to be part of that, because they're very hot on making sure that every franchise is ethical, that the franchisee is represented properly, and that they're getting value.
Okay, so that sounds like, so I get what a franchise is. I mean, I know what it is, but that's really good and helpful to have explained that. I think one of the fearful things as well about setting up your own business, whether it's a franchise or just your own business, is finding clients. Yes. So I was just going to say, let's just talk a little bit about that, unpack that a bit. So,
no, of course. So it's part of, any franchise that you're buying, you'll get an induction. So for our induction, it's a 2-day, and marketing and finding clients is a big part of that, because exactly, Katy, it's sort of a vast thing. It's like, how am I going to find people? So we're very hot on profiling the types of clients that we work with. And I would say over the last 5 years, our client base has shifted from we can provide support for a startup, for somebody that's been in business for a year, right through to established businesses that want that flexibility. And I would say COVID has played into our business model in a hugely positive way, because people aren't now saying to me, oh, well, how can that remote support actually work for me, because I need them sitting next to me. So that's been a huge benefit. So we're finding a huge influx of more established businesses that want us to be their resource for whatever they're needing at the time. So we give huge training on what to say, networking, and having a natural curiosity, I might say nosiness, is really essential, because you want to be establishing and understanding what other people are doing, and therefore understanding how you can relieve their pain points.
So I think what you're saying is that, well, you offer a 2-day training, and they'll get lots of information and help and support around how they do that. But presumably, and I've seen, some of your franchisees doing it, there'll be a toolkit, there'll be branded stuff that they can use, and all of that.
Mentoring from one of the existing franchisees really closely, they get access to me, but absolutely that they get the toolkit every month. Our marketing consultant provides a bespoke marketing plan. You get an infographic, fresh blogs, all that content. So you're given everything, but what's lovely is you get the opportunity to make it your own. And I think that's what sometimes people might feel can be restrictive with some franchises, that they think, oh, well, I want to run my own business, I don't want to be restricted. Well, there's obviously sort of branding restrictions in the sense of colouring and design, but you're totally able to make it your own. And I get that, throughout the country, there are different regional influences that happen. And I want the franchisees to do that. So Fiona in Leeds may have different things going on than perhaps we have in the South, and that's absolutely fine. And you want that regional feeling. That's really important.
It's amazing, because as a business owner, one of the hardest parts about setting up a business is all the infrastructure that goes on around it. I don't think, for me, that's the blocker. It's the, you know, what accounting system am I going to use? What's my
Well,
branding?
it's vast, isn't it? Yes,
All
absolutely.
all the blogs and the content you have to think about, like where, like having all of that kind of knowledge and just being able to hand it to somebody and go, look, it's tried and proven. Here you go.
Yes.
Tried and tested.
And it plays to the individual strengths then. And that's what I work really hard with, Katy, when I'm meeting new potential franchisees, is to really get under the skin of, well, what are your motivations here? And what are you wanting? Therefore, how can we mould this opportunity to suit you?
Yeah.
And franchisees of mine some have no children, some have little ones, some have older ones at secondary school. So all of those factors play into actually how someone's going to manage their business on a day-to-day basis. And some of my franchisees outsource within the team as well, so we'll have their own virtual assistant to support them. And that's something I've always been really hot on. It's like, I don't want to be doing everything myself, so therefore where are your strengths and what do you want to get out of an opportunity like this?
I mean, yes. And I think, again, let's dig a little deeper, because this is different to any of the other franchise models, and I've worked with others before.
Yes, within the virtual assistant space, absolutely. And
yes.
So my franchisees don't do the client delivery unless they're really interested in it. So a number of my franchisees have strong marketing backgrounds. If a job comes in from a client of theirs that needs marketing strategy, and I would encourage them to do that if they want to. They'll make the full margin on that. But ultimately, in order to have a business that can be scaled, the franchisees will have a client, they'll work out what the client needs, and then outsource that job role to our growing team of virtual experts. We've currently got around 80 in the UK and Australia. So a franchisee would match the client to one of our freelancers. The freelancer is very much part of our community. They're not some sort of random that we've just found online. They go through a stringent recruitment process with us, and they're part of our community. They have a GetAhead email address, and they're very clear on how they operate then with a client. So the franchisee will get an hourly rate from the client. They will pay the freelancer a different rate, and the freelancers totally get that, you know, we're giving them an opportunity. They don't have to worry about finding clients, and you know, it's a very fair sort of structure, but it enables the franchisee, if we're talking about that opportunity, to really scale, because they can always say yes to a client, because we always can find them somebody within the growing team to fulfill that work.
And of the 80 virtual assistants that they outsource to, it's like a multitude of different disciplines and kind of skills that they have.
We've got our skills database, and our freelancers will rank themselves against all those criteria. So always open to, you know, meeting new freelancers as well that are interested in joining us.
Yeah, no, that's really interesting.
We've got a separate sign-up page on the website. So we've done a lot of work in the last 18 months to really create this vast skills matrix database. So my franchisees can log on very clearly, and they might not have actually had a conversation yet with that freelancer, but they can identify the top sort of 10 that would fit the criteria. So that's been really handy. So obviously, as we're scaling, I don't expect the franchisees to know every freelancer that we've got, and we're continually adding to that.
So that's really interesting. So for those watching who are more interested, then they could always get in touch with you.
No, absolutely. Yeah. No, I'd be thrilled. Yeah.
Okay, so that's brilliant. So there's two opportunities then.
Yeah.
Here. Okay. So I think what Rebecca's saying is that, you know, this is about running a business, and I think that is a clear distinction.
Running a scalable business that you can grow. Yeah. And we define a territory that's based around where my franchisees live and where they can, you know, easily get to. But obviously in the last 3 years, people are doing so much more virtually anyway. But I do encourage the team to join a regular networking group. That's where everyone gets their energy and joy. And the co-working spaces and things like that are proving to be really fruitful in terms of connections. And LinkedIn, of course, as well.
Yeah, LinkedIn's huge for that. So in terms of franchises, I know you've got 9, you said you've got 9 currently.
Yeah.
And, you know, and you tell us, I mean, we were just talking about how this isn't a numbers game.
No, totally. And like, you know, naturally,
you're looking for the right people. So I suppose my next question would be, what makes a
perfect person?
Yeah. Who is?
So we're very hot in our messaging around people that enjoy managing other people. So a natural interest in people, but also a confidence to manage a team. We'll obviously give training and all of that as part of the induction and the continual sort of process of being part of our team. But I need you to feel comfortable that you can have a client conversation, but you can also have a team conversation. So that element of project management as well is quite key, because you will have a relationship with the client, you'll need to manage your freelancer, and you'll need to have touch points with that throughout the client journey with you. But you need to be naturally happy to have those conversations, and not also on the flip side of that, Katie, to enable that connection to happen and not be on everyone's case either. So there's sort of quite a fine balance. But you'll see that this is such a scalable opportunity. You'll want to be gathering new connections and naturally be sort of spreading the word then.
Okay, so somebody who's quite outgoing and confident, happy to have conversations, business-minded, commercial?
Commercial is helpful, not essential, but to have a sort of a general understanding of what's involved in running a business is helpful. And we will give training. As I said, we have mentors within the business that will help look at how the financials work. So I get that can sometimes be quite complicated. So everything's given to you, but I need you to be a team player and naturally up for having conversations and things.
And also, I mean, I think what's also important here is that you're part of something. So, so when you join a franchise like yours, you've got access to other people. So just talk us through what that looks like, because presumably your franchisees, and you have,
So we have a good old, we have good, very strong
practice. So tell me what
communication. We have a monthly call, which is led by our marketing consultants. I'm on that, and all the franchisees are there. We have a very good agenda for that. So we'll be going through the results of last month's marketing, this month's, how the website's looking, about to relaunch the website early in the next month, which is really exciting. And then we'll look at what the theme is for the following month, but we'll also do a hot topic. So we encourage the franchisees to come with perhaps aspects of things they'd like to get more information on, or perhaps they've seen a trend that's happening and they want to share that. So hugely sharing and caring and non-competitive is what I really want to get across within the team, whether it's the freelance team or my franchisees. We all have ultimately want GetAhead to grow with the right people, and we want our clients to be happy and come to us as their preferred supplier. So we're not sort of doing secret squirrel and not sharing what's working well. And that's what I love as well. That's core to my values for being a business leader, is the caring and sharing. And I also get that personal things might happen. Suddenly running a franchise for whatever reason might not work out. I'm not naive like that either. So the strong communication both ways is critical for me.
Okay, so I think that's really lovely, and I think that's really important, because as a business owner myself, I know how lonely it can be to set up on your own. And not have anyone to brainstorm with, and other people sharing experiences and all that support. So again, like for me, just hearing that sort of just gives you that sense of team camaraderie. And
no, absolutely. We've done, as I said, lots of work in the last 18 months on things like lunch and learn. So every month there's a lunch and learn that's open to any member of the team, and we've had lovely feedback on that. We did one on the juicy subject of menopause just before Christmas, and that's non-business related, but we all know the touch points it's got on there. So it's that community feeling with no hierarchy, very much everyone's there for the good of each other. And I think that's what's so empowering as well, that I never feel lonely. And exactly. And you have those touch points. And I do find, when I've seen other friends of mine that say, oh, I just don't like working on my own in my office, I thought, well, I've never had that feeling ever, because I feel I've got everyone at my fingertips that I can meet up with.
It's just a great model, because it's not just the other franchisees that you can sort of have support from, but also that you can take business because you are outsourcing to all of the
it's a very positive positive
a lot of support around,
which
is quite different. Okay, so I'd love you to just tell me or describe, because you've got 9 franchisees and you come from corporate retail, just give us a sense of the people who are already working with you in terms of some of their backgrounds.
So ex-retailer, another one. So Fiona was working for Morrison, so she, and I know she won't mind me saying this, she wanted more time with her children and to be more present. They're now both secondary age, but she's transitioned in the last 5 years to be around, to see them after school, to have those touch points, to be part of their life, but also be proud of the business that she's grown. She's actually bought another territory from me. So she started off with Leeds. She's now bought York and Harrogate as well. And she's hugely strong networker. And then I've got Christy and Suzanne, who are an interesting dynamic because they were friends through having kids, always wanted to perhaps do something together, and they're running their franchise as a partnership. So that's,
so you can do that too.
so that's an interesting done, and they've just won a franchise recognition award through What Franchise in December around that. They've come together. Christy hugely commercial, Suzanne very hot on HR and structure. She's been a real great influence for me in our recruitment model, for example, and they operate really beautifully together. It's not for everyone. I couldn't have gone into business with someone else, but I think it just shows that there are different ways of operating, which is really refreshing. And then I have Sarah, who has she ran and set up a hugely successful business, which she sold a number of years ago, wanted something flexible. And it's just fascinating, everyone coming with different backgrounds and different stories. But the thread that runs between all of us is we want to do the right work for the right clients, and we want to enjoy what we're doing. And I think that's ultimately it. And there's a sense of having that opportunity to, and everyone has different commercial reasons for doing it. Some might not have partner that's got money coming in as well. There are all different ways of managing a business and the reasons why we're doing it, but ultimately it's the flexibility that's key as well.
So I suppose, yeah, that's really interesting. I mean, I know that you're saying it's really flexible, but running a business is also quite demanding on your time. And so
yes.
How flexible would you say it is?
Well, I was going to say, not everyone, I would say, at all works full-time hours. I've always wanted to have some flexibility, so I've never worked sort of through the evening and things. And I also get that everyone works in different ways. So some people are sort of more active at certain times of the day. So this opportunity is very much geared towards you managing it how you want it to be. I won't be saying, well, why aren't you working now in sort of 2 o'clock in the afternoon when I know perhaps you're more active in the evening. It's opportunity is open for you to make it what you want it to. I just need to see a commitment to some sort of daytime networking and things like that.
Great. Okay. So I think that we've given a real sense of what it is and the opportunity. Thank you. If anyone's got questions, you can pop them on the chat box, or you can pop them in the comment box on the thread. So the video will be live. So if you're watching this on replay, which lots of you I know will be later or at some point this week, so I'm going to pin it to the top so people can watch this, then just comment on the thread and Rebecca's tagged and she can answer any questions. And you can contact her directly from the thread. She'll be linked, or you can go and find her on LinkedIn and connect that way. So in terms of questions, just pop them on the thread here or there. So my next question, which I think everyone's going to want to know at this point, is what does it mean? What does it cost?
Yes, no, absolutely. So as we all know, every franchise comes with a price point. So for us, we're £8,000 for the 5-year license, and after that 5 years it just simply gets renewed. There's no more cash being paid. But Katy and I were talking earlier and she was saying, well, what does that really mean? So if I was saying, oh, it's the cost of a coffee. She's like, well, what's the cost of a coffee? So that equates to £30 a week, £4 a day. So in some of my marketing, we say it's the cost of a takeaway coffee. What I want to reiterate is if you were to set up your own business, think of all the different things you'd have to do. You'd have to have a website, you'd have to have training in various things, you'd need your marketing. For that £4 a day, you get access to a bespoke marketing plan, our support team that will deliver the work for your clients, which is ultimately what you need. So I think it's a very fair price point, and then every month it's 10% of turnover is sent into head office. So that's a standard practice against all franchisees. And then after the first year, it's 1% goes into the marketing pot, which helps fund a lot of the additional marketing things regionally as well.
Okay, brilliant. So thanks for that. I mean, I think we're all about transparency.
Oh, totally. I can't bear it when people are all sort of secret about things like that. So
PM me.
No, exactly. And the one thing I want to say, Katy, as well, is I'm totally aware of cost of living, everything that's going on at the moment. So I'm not saying it's £8,000 tomorrow. No, I'm totally open to have conversations with people. If you're the right person, I want it to work, and the financial bit won't be a barrier.
Yeah, good. Okay, and then with that, do you have a sense of what the ROI looks like how long it would take to make that back? Are we looking at
again, I can share sort of financial models. It all boils down to how quickly or how many hours you're prepared to put into this. So I've got a model based on part-time hours, and people are certainly getting that feedback in the first year. but again, how long's a piece of string? But as I can happily share some of those models and give you a sense of, ultimately it's around getting the more meaty work in that's going to charge the higher rate, or certainly the rate where you're going to get more margin. But again, I can happily share that with anyone that's interested.
Yeah. And is it quite consistent across all of your franchisees?
It's consistent across regions, certainly. And I think it's, as a franchisee has a clear idea of what makes up the portfolio of services. And I think also some franchisees will talk and feel more comfortable in a certain space, whether it's marketing, depending on where they come from. So that's been quite an interesting eye-opener as well, which is where we give specific training, and people will speak to the freelancers as well to understand what more we can offer. So it's sort of quite an all-rounded thing.
And would you always recommend they set it up as a VA agency with offering, you know, a multitude of different?
Yes, I think it's hard to not. But I think naturally, if you're coming to me with an HR background, I know you'd be comfortable in that space, and you may talk about that more than you might some other things. So that's always an interesting one. But that gives a sense of personality and validity to it as well.
Brilliant. All right. Well, look, we've covered a lot. We've covered what franchise is, all about the opportunity. And I think that you've probably answered most people's questions as much as you can here.
Yeah.
And in terms of the type of person that you're looking for, I think it's really important to say this isn't going to be for everybody. It's about somebody who's passionate about running a business and scaling a business and looking, and you know, we call it a business in a box, but it really is. It's you know, here's the business, here's all the component parts that you'll need. It's, you know, very clear about what
you up and launch you in your area. And certainly I hope it's come across that you're not sort of left to your own devices, but you're given that independence where you need it. But ultimately you're part of the sort of the GetAhead family support network, which I think is really important.
Honestly, Rebecca, I think that you've set up a brilliant model. I really do. I think that this is an amazing opportunity for people. Really,
you don't have to like leopard print either, by the way.
I mean, you and I have both come in, matching.
We're rocking the leopard print, and I just wanted to say the book I've done for Katy and the community at £4, just to cover P&P, so we can share the link to that. But I'm more than happy. I've got quite a few copies here, which I'd love to.
Tell us what the book's about, Rebecca.
So it talks about the franchise model, but ultimately at the beginning, it's all around finding your purpose. And we've got the Ikigai sort of exercises to do, and I've found it really helpful for a number of my more recent franchisees that have gone through the exercises and have sort of recognized themselves in that. But ultimately, if you're thinking this could be an option for you, it might not be, it's worth having those exercises as something to start thinking about, because it's, you know, a big thing, and I want everyone to be doing the right job for them.
Yeah. So look, I think that we'll leave it with saying thank you very much for your time and coming to join us. It's been brilliant to get to understand what you're doing in a bit more detail. And I know that there are going to be people on the group who are like, this sounds amazing, and you know, would love to have a chat.
So, yes.
And I think also to find out whether their territory is available and whether that's an option for them, and just to have a conversation with you.
Yeah, we've got quite a good quiz on our website as well that goes through what we're looking for, so that's always a soft option as well. So
yeah, so I think, listen, if you've listened to this and you think it sounds interesting, reach out to Rebecca and have a chat and find out a bit more. And thank you so much for joining us today.
Katy, thanks for having me. We made it. Yeah,
I know. And we're just saying it's nice to be here in January, because this is just a time where so many people have gone back to work after Christmas and just gone, oh, I just don't want to be doing this anymore. I just want to do my own thing. So we are delivering options to do that. All right. Well, look, thank you everybody for listening. I will be back in the group soon with another Facebook Live, and drop any questions in the comments box. And thanks so much, Rebecca. See you soon.
See you.